Working now. Yeah, looks like we are on. Good morning, everyone. How is how are all of you treasure hardies? Um, I need a little bit of coffee. Still not up. um, Glad you guys all made it here today. Um, yeah, we're doing another live session. So let's start off by saying our usual hellos to everyone. Let's see here. Okay, bright and early this morning is Miss Kim Burris. How are you, Kim? Glad that you made it here today. Let's see. It's Donna Hoskins. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Donna. We got the Irish Sail Lady here. Hello, hello. Um, and Kim says, it's damp and cool here, and I'm having coffee. Well, that's good. I need some coffee, so pour me a cup. Yeah, we should call this crafting and coffee. Maybe that's what I'll call this from now on when I'm on early in the morning like this. Hello, Michelle. Happy Saturday to you too. Kim says, I will be so glad to be able to get my sewing machine back out and set up my quilting frame again. Put away for now for other things going on. Okay. That's one thing I didn't like about having a temporary quilting frame is you got to take it out, set it up, and then put it back. And that kind of prevented me from working on some projects. So speaking of projects, what is the project for today? So I wanted to start using up some scraps. So I did this on a couple lives ago. I started making these blocks. There's that one, and then there's that one. I was trying to decide which, do I want to go with these blocks or do I want to go with this block? And I ended up, well, there's a separate project that I am working on for a future video, which I chose to work with this block, but wanted to see if I can do something with these because, I mean, I already started. So even if it's a small wall hanging quilt or baby quilt, at least I use it up instead of just tossing it aside. So that's what I'll be doing today. And it gets me a chance to use up some of these smaller squares that I have here. So yeah. And that's what I'll be doing today. So see who else is here. Hello, Miss Brenda Foley. And Donna Bogart is saying hello. Good morning. Good morning to you, Donna. Whoops. Sorry, the computer's starting to act up this morning. So I think the latest update that I did to it is getting to it. Brenda Foley says hello. Hello, Brenda. Hello, Donna. Michelle the Quilter is saying hello to a bunch of people with a whole bunch of emojis there. We got Diane Wilson. Hello, Diane. And Ada Encarnacion. Hello, hello. Buenos dias. Donna Hoskins is here. Hello, Donna. Oh, actually, I think we already said hello, but hello to you again. Hi, Linda. Hope how are you feeling, girl? Hope you're feeling much better. But glad that you made it here. Kimber says, I have plenty of coffee, Eric. What size cup would you like? It's not the cup size. Let's just put it this way. If I could get a tub or just give me a straw and I'll put the straw in the carafe and drink it from there. Hello, Miss Judy Smith. Just dropped in to say hello. I am out and about today, so won't be on long. Okay, well, glad you decided to stop in and say hello. Lynn, let's see. Susan, you're out is here. Good morning on Holy Saturday. That's right. It's Easter weekend. Yes. Even though, well, I don't celebrate Easter on the religious sense, um, I do enjoy the candy, even though I'm not supposed to. Let's see. Hi, Damali. And Steve Norma Kaufman. Hello from San Marcos, California. Hello, hello. I need to actually visit San Marcos because isn't that where Cozy Quilts Design is? Or is it Quilt in a Day? One of those quilt shops I know is nearby. But glad you made it here this morning. Hello, Miss Joy T. Okay, so let me switch the cameras because I've been kind of cutting some fabric, as you can see. And you probably are wondering, what am I doing? So again, I am kind of just working on a project that I started a while back. I figured was doing a test block and decided to go with another block, but I'm gonna just use up these blocks anyway. Whoops. There we go. So we're just gonna make some sample blocks and see what I can make of them for now. I just need to cut down these squares, and if I had my AccuQuilt set up right now, I would be using that instead of just cutting this manually because it would be a whole lot quicker, I would say. And when you cut smaller pieces like this, may not necessarily be more accurate cutting it, but it'll be a lot more consistent in terms of the size that you get, or you'll get a much more consistent cut. So let's see. I was up late last night actually because there is an event in Hawaii going on, an annual event that I wanted to kind of catch live. And so it starts at 6 p.m. Hawaii time, which is 9 o'clock our time. And it goes till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, Las Vegas time. So yeah, if I look, well, I know my hair is all messed up. So one thing about short hair is if it's, if you sleep the wrong way, it sticks out and you got permanent dead head. That's okay. Let's see. Kim says, Eric, I have an insulated mug that will hold over a quart, so all good. Okay. Hello, Miss Kathleen Champ. How you doing, girl? Glad that you made it here this morning. Yeah, it is Quilt in a Day. Okay, I thought so. So that they are in San Marcos. I actually visited their store once, and they got a nice, sizable store. Of course, there's a separate area where Eleanor and all the staff actually do their work, but and then I got to see the studio where they used to do their filming, and it's not, well, it's a pretty sizable space, I should say, because it does fit a lot of people in there. So yeah, kind of enjoyable. Of course, Eleanor was not out and about when I was there, so didn't get to see her, but I've seen her at quilt shows before. So yeah, so last night I was in the mood of sewing crumbs, which this is a leftover piece as I was watching the live stream. So what I was watching last night was there's a hula competition. It's the they call it the Merry Monarch. And every year, the top hula schools will compete. Now, in order to compete in this competition, they don't just let anybody into it. They actually, you kind of have to go through an application process, and if you get approved to compete, then you know they just don't let any Joe Schmo kind of into that competition. So one thing, it's a very, very prestigious honor to actually even compete in it. And if you win, well, then everybody in the hula dancing community kind of, you earn their respect. So it's like the Academy Awards of hula schools. And real hula is not what you see in the with like what you see in the movies and whatnot, where the pretty girl's wearing the flowers and she's swaying her hips. No, that's not real. Well, it's hula, but not the type of hula you would see in this particular competition. And some of my friends actually compete, or they dance for certain schools that do compete in this. So that's the real reason why I was watching. Because one of my friends, high school friends, is actually there now competing. Of course, I was like, "Where is she? Where is she?" But I didn't see her. But that's okay. I know she's there, and she knows I'm watching. So anyway, let's see. Oh, okay. We got a bunch of chatters this morning. Great. Brenda Foley says, I found some amazing San Francisco chocolates. Goals. Unbelievable. Ooh, goals. Never heard of that. Of course, if I think of San Francisco chocolate, I always think of Ghirardelli. But never heard of goals. Ooh, should look them up. That sounds pretty good. That actually sounds very good right about now. Although chocolate, I don't know. Growing, I had a phase where chocolate was not my favorite thing. It kind of still isn't, but it was more or less like it was forced upon me since my mom loved chocolate. She thinks everybody loved chocolate, and every time we'd have a dessert of something, it would be chocolate. So I still kind of don't care for it, but it's kind of growing on me a little bit. Of course, if chocolate is there and I have a sugar cringe or sugar craving, sugar cringe, what am I saying? Sugar craving, I will take the chocolate. Okay, I think I'll just use these as the 4. But yeah, growing up, chocolate was not my favorite thing or favorite dessert. I know what some of you are saying. That's very sacrilegious, Eric. What are you talking about? But hey, that's just me. Cute way to use muffin tins. Yeah. Okay, the idea is not really mine. I got to give credit where credit is due. I actually got this idea from Lori Holt, where she actually stores her tiny pieces into these muffin tins. Of course, her muffin tins are spray painted, they're decorated, they're vintage. So she took the time to actually spray paint it and color it. I didn't, but you can go to the Dollar Tree and get one of these muffin tins for $1.25. And I figured, you know what, I'll give it a try for the smaller pieces that I have. And thus far, I kind of like it because you can stack it up, put it away in storage, and then when you're ready to take it out, you just kind of lay it out, and then you can sort your pieces according to whatever fabric. So I like it. Now I do have larger muffin tins where it's the diameter is a lot bigger, in which I could use that for like 2.5-inch squares, but no, I need that for baking. Even though I haven't baked much, so we'll see. But yeah, these are kind of more cupcake size. And, they work well for this purpose. So, okay, I got that one from here. So, okay. Yeah. There's that. Okay, whoops, sorry. So Kathleen Champ says, I'm getting back on my feet. Thank you. How are you doing? We're doing good, girl. Oh, I need to do it this way so I can actually nest the seam. I just love you're using muffin tins to hold your squares of fabric. And Kathleen Champ says, I'm doing okay, good days mostly, but God wakes me up daily, so all is good. Okay. Ada says, I love how you put your squares in cupcake pans, so functional, great idea. Also have an AccuQuilt cutting machine. Okay. I like to use the AccuQuilt not to cut the individual pieces for a quilt. I can usually do that faster on my own. But how I use the AccuQuilt most of the time is if I have a bunch of scraps, I will just load it up on the die and run it through the machine and cut out smaller pieces like these, for example, or I'll cut strips out of it. And if there's a specific applique shape that I'm looking for and AccuQuilt has a die for it, I will definitely use the die rather than trying to cut out the actual shape for it. Let's see. At this point, Kathleen, Eric may have longer hair on the side and back. My beautician had a heck of a time blending it all in. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kim. Hello, Miss Sandy. Glad you caught us live here. Oh, sugar-free chocolate. Okay, I thought you meant San Francisco. Sorry. But goals. Okay. Brenda, is that in like a supermarket? I've never seen that brand. Kathleen says, had an affinity for hula all of my life. It's a beautiful thing to watch and so fun to try. Love to see a competition. Yeah. When you watch these hula schools compete against each other, it's like they bring the best out in each other. So a lot of the choreography, the story about the dance, the it's nice to see that Hawaiian culture is still going on strong and it's still coming, or it's being passed on to the next generations, because a lot of the hula instructors that are entering the competitions now or this competition now, they're kind of the up and coming hula instructors. Okay, Jack, you're going to get a workout today because we are plucking seams and spinning them. We'll see how many blocks I can get done. Let's see. Hey, good morning, Jim. White chocolate only, thank you, unless there's Butterfinger under that thin layer. Prefer a Chico stick for that. Never heard of a Chico stick. Dark chocolate is actually good for you even as a diabetic, but only ½ ounce at a time and not daily. Yeah, I actually did. Thank you for that, Kim. I actually did know about that. But again, chocolate is kind of not my thing, so I don't crave it. But if I do get a sugar rush, I will. But yeah, it has to be, what was it? At least 80% cacao. Chocolate on its own natural state actually isn't very, it's not what you think it is. I've had pure cacao before, and oh my gosh, you would not recognize it as chocolate. But it's after a heavy amount of processing, some added sugar, it becomes what we know as chocolate. So it's a very interesting process. Okay, I will use this. What am I doing? I don't know. I got this one as the center. I'll put this. And then I had another one. Losing track of what I'm doing. But that's okay. This is kind of, sort of mindless sewing. Not exactly stuff that I need to pay attention. Well, I should be paying attention because I could sew the wrong two things together. In which you all see me do that, so that's nothing new. Don't mention chocolate around. Okay, Ada, we won't. Sounds like a crafting project coming. Deco the tins. I could. Sorry. I could do it. I mean, if anything, I would just spray paint it. But I don't know. Sorry. Excuse me. But then again, I got enough crafting projects to do. And I keep giving myself more. This cold weather is causing trouble. My body is still trying to decide if it wants to participate in today. Well, Kathleen, you are participating today because you're here. And I will put this one. Okay, let's make a square out of this. Where did this come from? I think there. So don't forget, for those of you that are interested in this, that tomorrow night, which will be the 20th, I know it's Easter, but starting at 7 o'clock, I will be going or doing another live session, and I'll be showcasing some crafting supplies that I inherited from someone. I've been posting pictures to the Facebook group as well as onto the YouTube community page or the channel's community page. And there's a lot of crafting supplies that I kind of inherited from a friend of mine who his mother was a crafter, and they were trying to sort of like clean out all of her belongings, and so they were. There's a lot of yarn. There's a lot of. She was a crafter. She was a knitter, crocheter. She did a lot of sewing, so there is some fabric, but and she did quilts too. So there is an actual unfinished quilt which I'm gonna do something with. There's some pattern pieces. There's thread and and a bunch of other supplies too. In fact, I haven't gone through another. There's still a few more things that I haven't gone through yet. So I'll save that for a future live. But tomorrow night, I will be doing a live in which I'll be showcasing some of these things and giving them away. Now, you don't have to be part of the live to be part of the giveaway, and I'll give an explanation about that on tomorrow's live session. So if you do catch the replay, you might still be able to put yourself in the drawing for some of these things. And again, if you've been watching the posts and paying attention to the Facebook group as well as the YouTube community page, you've got a kind of a brief preview as to what's up for grabs. So yeah, it'll be again tomorrow night starting at 7 p.m. And again, you can catch the replay if you're not, like, I know it's Easter Sunday, so some of you might be having relatives over, but yeah. And then of course I'll explain how this is all going to work on the live. So just a reminder for you all. I'll put this one here. This one can go down here, and I need one more. So that is where this is going to come in. You know, it's hard to sew and coordinate stuff and talk. Which might be why a lot of people don't get much done during retreats. They're doing too much chit-chatting and having too much fun. But then again, how would I know? I never actually been to a retreat. Okay, so thank you for typing that in, Miss Kim. She put in exclamation hot topic. What is your favorite project or thing to sew when you don't want to think too much? For me, this would be one of them. Just sewing a bunch of squares together and seeing what you can create. I like to sew a lot of string blocks, a lot of crumb blocks, just random scraps, and just sew them together. It's easy to take care of. At least I can comb with my fingers or use gel and spike it. Granddaughter says I'd be a hot granny. You'd be a cool granny. If my grandmother came out with a mohawk, I'd be like, Grandma, you rock. But then again, I guess the more shocking thing is that my grandmother would have a mohawk. Okay, this one is stubborn. It don't want to open up. Okay, get in there, Jack. Got it. Okay, seam is lying flat. Doo-doo-doo. And I will get another square started because for the next one. Wait, something's wrong. Oh, I pressed this one to the wrong side. Press it to the print and put that one there. There we go. We're going to make a random square of all different sorts of pieces here. So I'm going to take that coffee piece. I remember this fabric. Speaking of coffee, cut off the E's, the E and the X, but that's supposed to say espresso or espresso. Okay, that one plopped open pretty easy, but there's a stitch that I can see is still not coming out. There it is. Got it. There's one more there. There we go. And we can lie it flat. That's the extra. Let me get a few white pieces here. I can sew this onto here. You know what? Let me press all of this so it's nice and flat. And I totally flipped the seam backwards. I know this one was here. This, where is my center? That's this one. We'll arrange it. I think it was like that. Not that it really matters. This one was, I'll put this one like that. This one was up here. And so that means this was right there. Do I have any more white squares? I do. We shall put this one here. And we'll put this one here. Okay, so this block is going to be part of the group that's behind on the wall. And then I'll do something else on the next one. Because I realize I need one more block. So this will be part of the next set. Okay, so I'm going to go against the general rule and press it actually to the background fabric, because that is going to be the path of least resistance on these. Actually, I should have sewed these two together. Let me turn these so I can have a little bit more room here. There we go. And I just knocked the ruler over with my elbow. Okay. It's so a Chico stick is a round butterfinger without the chocolate, so melt in your mouth when fresh. Never heard of that. Chico stick. Interesting. Things you learn from people. So Kim Burris says favorite sewing is either string blocks, crumb blocks, or hand quilting. Ooh. All this talk about chocolate, now I'm heading to bake a chocolate cake. Thanks, Eric. Save a piece for the rest of us, Ada. Well, what you can't have or what you shouldn't have, you talk about, right? So I'll live vicariously through everybody. Let's see. Now my machine is finally running a little bit. I'm playing with the quilt design. Brain is starting to fire up again. So fun. Well, glad to hear you say that, Kathleen. Yeah, my brain was kind of going this morning, trying to think about how I'm going to use these pieces here, and I have no idea what this final quilt is going to look like. But I just wanted to use up these fabric scraps to make something. This might end up just being something I donate to charity. Oh, speaking of which, I do need to look up when the guild meeting is. That reminds me. So I did recently join a guild here in Las Vegas called the Desert Quilters of Nevada. After kind of going to their quilt show and seeing what people are up to, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'll sign up for this guild. Come to find out, I think it's on May 1st, but I'll have to double check. But they have a guest speaker coming to their meeting, and that guest speaker is actually the same quilter that won the Best in Show at QuiltCon this year. Her name is Verushka. She did that paper-pieced quilt of the woman of, is it the Sayu? Or some Native American tribe. The actual statue or sculpture that this quote is based on, I believe, is in South Dakota. It's the Native American woman that has the star, the Lone Star quote, that holding it up. So she will be the guest speaker at the next guild meeting. So I said, oh, I better not miss that. And I believe that is coming up on May 1st. So I'll be interested into learning more about her and seeing what she presents or what she talks about. She is doing a class, but it was too late for me to sign up for the class. But I'd be interested into hearing her talk. Now, from what I do know about her, she does a lot of foundation paper piecing. She sells patterns for things, and that's what you learn in the class. And I think she teaches how to create foundation paper piecing patterns. So, yeah, should be fun. Eric, what sizes are those squares? Kim, the final block, or at least these blocks here, finished will be 6 inches. So you can kind of, if you know the math, you can kind of figure out what size squares I'm using. I don't want to give away the size of these particular squares because that will be the challenge that I present to everyone in a future video series. So what you're getting is a little bit of a preview as to what to expect in the future. And again, if you decide to take up this challenge, well, part of the challenge is to figure out what size I'm cutting these squares to make this size block. Sorry. Forgot the images are a little funky when I look at the computer screen there, so. And if you know, don't blurt out the answer. So I kind of knew I was taking a risk by doing this project on a live because I knew somebody would ask me that exact same question. But I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it anyway because I couldn't think of any other project to do. Okay, so this one will be part of the collection that's on the design wall. If I can open the seam. Come on, cooperate, please. There we go. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit different because there's a 9 patch in the middle. We'll use these. We already started. And we'll do this one on this side. Has anyone seen, I was following, or I was looking at some Instagram posts that I've seen, and I do follow Missouri Star Quilt Company on Instagram. They did an interesting post where they were showing some. There were dolls. They were kind of more not dolls like Ragged or the Raggedy Ann or stuffed dolls, but they were kind of more action figures, and they were action figures of Jenny Doan, Misty, and Natalie. Um, Kind of interesting because, well, Jenny looked like Jenny, but Misty and Natalie, I mean, they were close, but I thought they could have done better with those two. But I'm just wondering if anyone else saw those or saw that on Instagram, or maybe they put it on their Facebook page too. I don't know. Whoops. Sorry, the camera's going to do that from time to time. Um, Hello, confident quilter. That is Gladys. Glad that you made it here this morning. Hello, hello. Kathleen Champ says, I need to make some squares, snowball them over and over and over, and get the idea. Okay. A friend here has tried to talk me into dyeing my hair a bright color since it's mostly white anyway. So far, I'm not that brave. Would that friend be someone's daughter? Because I think I know who you're talking about there. And Kathleen Champ says some of the grandkids are convinced it would be fun. I'm not was born. I was not. Wait, I'm not was bring to look like a nana. That needs attention, bad attention. But I think with short hair it would be fun. Go for it. Plus it will grow and wash out fast. Okay, I think she's talking to Kim about coloring her hair. I say go for it, Kim. Experiment. Have fun with it. And you will be the cool granny. See, everybody agrees with me. Jim says, like the sound of that, Kim. Susan You're Out says, hand sewing is my mindless, or hand quilting is my mindless sewing. I'm going to try hand quilting. I don't like sewing anything by hand, really. If I can avoid it, I will. But I got to try it. Or I should try it. This I'll put aside because I'm not going to actually use that just yet. I will need, let's see, I do need a 4-patch. Okay, so I do need 4 patches here and here. And then we'll do another 4-patch here. Oh, do I have enough? Not quite enough of that color, so I'll use this brown. Not really caring about the color combination here. I'm just wanting to use up the scraps. Pressing that open, we'll finish up this middle. Kim Burr says, last weekend I found a set of hexie templates for 1/2 inch to 1 inch hexies. So I bought them. Going to get 1 inch hexie papers for EPP. EPP is not a high bucket list item for me. I will try it just so I can say I did try it. Never done it before. So I can't really say if I will enjoy it, but I have a feeling that I probably won't because I don't care for hand sewing much. Whoops. And let's see, Kimber says, I found the butterfly pattern 20 years ago and made a queen size quilt as a wedding gift for a friend. Ooh. Butterfly pattern. Which butterfly pattern is that? And that reminds me, I do need to call somebody to talk about a butterfly pattern. I shall do that later today. Well, bonjour, mes amis. Hello, Nadine. Glad that you made it onto the live here. Sorry, my morning allergies are starting to kick in now, so I can kind of feel my nose running. Okay. Hello, Miss Jen Caribardi. Sorry, I butchered your name. I know. I'm sorry. She says, I rocked a royal blue mohawk last summer, my great grandson's choice. Hey, I like that. Wonder what I would look like with a mohawk. No. Actually, I would do it, but I wouldn't look good in it. I did go completely bald one year. Like, totally shaved everything. Buzz cut it and then took a razor and just shaved it down. Did not look good. So I would imagine that a mohawk would not look very good. Well, it would kind of look like a... I better not say it, but I'll get in trouble if I do bring that up. So let's see. I'll zip it. And if you're really curious what I'm thinking, you can always email me, but I won't say it on a live. Okay, then I need... Yep. Do 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 do. So I need 4 pieces of all the same. Let's see. Donna Hoskins says my friend's daughter sent me blue hair dye. My hair is very long. I can sit on it. I have not been brave enough to try it. I think it would be too shocking. You know, I'll bet you if you really are interested and curious to see what your hair color would look like, there's probably an app that will kind of like put a filter on. You take a picture or a selfie, and I'll bet you there's some kind of an app out there that will give you an idea what it would look like, or what you would look like with a certain hair color or a certain hairstyle. I know there's apps that will actually do that. Just don't know of any off the top of my head, but you know, I might want to try that. Put a mohawk, take a selfie, and then see what the apps makes me look like with the big mohawk. Of course, my mom would kill me. I mean, she got kind of upset when I pierced my ears. Back then, men having ears pierced was not a big, was a kind of a huge deal. And then when she found out I got a tattoo, she was like, what the heck is wrong with you? Of course, tattoos are not a big deal these days, but it was back then. Although I'm glad that my brother did it first. Kind of lessened the blow on me. So this one goes up here. This one will go like that. This will go like that. So let me do this one first. This is going to go down here. Oh, look at that. I caught a little bit of the selvage, but I'm not going to care about it because that's going to get hidden in the seam allowance. So okay, so now I can sew this one. I'm sewing this all out of order. So I hope this block actually comes out the way I planned it. So this one goes on here. Whoops. That was the wrong side. So now we got it correct. I need to press this one down. It looks like this block. Let's see. This block turned out pretty colorful. Although this does need to be trimmed down because I can see it's not even, but that's okay. Put that one up there for now. Okay, let's go back and finish this one. This one's a little bit of a different design. Oh, there it is. Make sure I got my fort patches in the correct angles. So that's right. And I will sew this long seam now. Nest those up. Okay, and then let's start on the next 9 patch for the center. Let's put that in the center, and then we'll do all of these other, yeah, right like that. Multitasking here. Okay, I'm curious, how did these, okay, not bad. I was worried that I may have missed that point, but that's pretty good. And I will finger press this open. And this one will go on like that. Okay. I wish I was brave enough for a mohawk. Yeah, me too. I went pink the year after my hair came back after chemo. Got lots of compliments. Pink. Oh, cancer. That okay. You know, if I wanted to, or if there was a reason why I needed to dye my hair or do a certain hairstyle in support of something like breast cancer or maybe Alzheimer's for purple. What is Alzheimer's? Purple. I would do it. I mean, just to show my support, and then I'm not just trying to like gain attention for myself. I did bleach my hair once, like a dirty blonde. Damaged it a lot. I will say that. Or maybe I should go gray. Well, I'm halfway there already, so might as well just go for the gusto and do it completely, right? Do 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 do. Okay, now on to the next one. Um, so Jim Bennett says, I gave a hand quilting frame, never used it because it's 12-foot wide, no room for it. A hand quilting frame that is 12-foot wide. Wow. And you gave that away? Well, I don't do hand quilting, but a 12-foot frame, even if it was given to me, I'd probably give it a try. Jen, you rock, yeah. With a royal blue mohawk, yep. I would have loved to see that. Oh my goodness, Jim. Mine is 8.5 foot long and will stretch to 36 inches wide. It literally takes up a quarter of my living room when I used it. Wow. I have an 8-foot frame that I still haven't completed setting up yet, in which it does take a huge chunk of space here. Unfortunately, I don't have, well, it's not like I have company all the time over here, so I'm fine with not having a living room or having like my living room be my sewing space and my crafting space too. And then my actual living room is one of the smaller bedrooms here, which I'm fine with. I mean, I spend more time in the crafting space than I do in my living room, so it's a little weird when I moved here. Like I don't have an I kind of realized the other day I don't have a television anymore because I really don't have a need for a television. And these days you kind of don't need to have one because, well, most of the time if I am watching something like a video, it's on something like Netflix, in which I will just use the tablet and stream the movie or show whatever I'm watching. I'll just use the tablet and then just lie in bed. So I don't have a need for a television anymore. And even when I was watching like actual television, or when I had a TV, I was actually just streaming Netflix or streaming YouTube videos onto it. So the thought was that I was gonna purchase a television once I got settled here, but kind of thought about it and said I don't have a need for it, so why bother? times have changed, huh? Okay. Gotta prep the pool. Okay, somebody's having a pool party. You know what they say, Eric? The higher the hair, the closer to God, but not sure you need the extra height. Might be. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Kathleen. Even if I don't need the extra height, if somebody were to give me 6-inch stilettos in my shoe size, I would totally rock those. Kimber says, I have the PVC handheld quilt frame, 2 sizes, plus a PVC floor frame that's only 30-inch squares for smaller projects. The handheld works great. Floor one's still in the box. I thought about getting that, but then I said, I don't want to spend the money for the PVC for that PVC frame and that much money for it when I can probably make it on my own. Did I ever make it? No. Hi, Chloe. Back in the 60s, a lot of Vietnam vets pierced their left ear to distinguish their service in Nam. Late husband didn't do that or the tattoo. I knew several who did, though. That's an interesting fact I didn't know. They would pierce the left ear. Okay. Interesting. Learned something today. Let's use up the red square. Let's make... I'm just going to make this one totally random, and I have a lot of these. I thought I was over this green fabric, but nope. Found more of it, so I got to use it up. I want to be done with it. This is from a project that I did almost 2 years ago, and I still have leftovers of it. The square seems to be a little short. Okay, we'll just make an adjustment to it, and it'll be fine. Do, 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 do. Oh, where is Roly Poly? Here we go. Why didn't I use you before? Okay. Do, 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 do. Kim, how are those PVC snap frames? I mean, do they actually hold the quilt? Because I heard some people complain that whatever that device is to hold down the quilt can come loose sometimes. Or does anyone know? Susan says I was in Arizona for my brother's wedding, so couldn't connect. Plus, I said no. No room in my one-bedroom apartment for a big frame. Oh, yeah, that's kind of an issue with a lot of people don't have the room space for having a big frame. So, um, I think who is it? Grace Company kind of capitalized on that when they created things like the cutie frame so that it can go on like a tabletop and not take so much space. Plus, it's fairly easy to just kind of set up, get it ready, and then take it down, just fold it up. But a lot of people still don't like it because of the fact that it is a smaller frame and you can't do humongous designs on it. But I mean, it's an option. I actually started off with the small frame, not the cutie frame, but another Grace Company quilting frame. That's what got me started on the path of getting a long arm. I need one more. Let's use up this purple. Ooh, whoa, don't cut the fabric. Oh, shoot. Do 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 do. Snip the fabric right there. Oh, darn. Can I salvage it? Let's see. I might be able to. I just might be able to. It's not the cutoff or that. We'll see. Nah, I'm not going to be able to salvage that. Okay, so scrap this. Maybe I'll just put it with the pink. Or is that going to look too weird? Just do it. I'll save this for a scrappy 4-patch. That can go in the crumb bin. Accidentally snipped the fabric there instead of cutting the string or the thread. Okay, cut the thread. Open this one up. Okay. I'm watching closely when you spin your seams. I haven't quite got the hang of that yet. Okay, Donna. So I'm glad you asked that because somebody actually wanted me to do a video on this. And I've been kind of resisting it because there's so many videos about how to spin your seams, but maybe I can just demonstrate it live and hopefully that person will catch this live. So here we go. Okay, how to spin your seams. Let me zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So sorry, the camera is gonna move and it's gonna get blurry. There we go. Okay. So if you're pressing your seams open, this won't really matter. So if you want to spin your seam, don't do this. Don't press your seam open. Instead, just press your seam to one side. And when you have multiple pieces like this, I press the seam to the darker fabric here. Same thing with this one, pressing the seam to the darker fabric. So because I'm sewing a 4-patch here, I'm just going to nest the seam. And let me sew this on real quickly. And you know what? I will attach this one to here. Again, seams are going in the opposite direction, so I can nest the seam, and I can, now I have 2 examples to show you how to do it. Okay, here we go. So the trick to this is to make sure that you got your seams going all in the same direction. So here I have it going in a clockwise direction, where this, if I didn't have this middle seam here, this would be pressed over that way. We got this seam coming down. This one will go to the left. This one is going up. So all the seams will be in a clockwise rotation. You could do it the opposite way if you needed to. Okay, but that's kind of the key. Having all your seams pressed and going in the same direction, that's the biggest hint that I can give to you. When you have that, then all you really need to do is just take your seam the last seam that you just sewed, and then press. I'm pressing this one up, I'm pressing this one in the opposite direction. Then that middle should pop open. Sometimes for me, because I sew, my stitch length is only 1.5 millimeters. It's kind of tight. If you do like a 2 or a 2.5 millimeter stitch, you can kind of get that middle to just kind of pop open fairly easily. But if it doesn't, just take your seam ripper and just kind of pluck the stitches out, and then it'll lie flat. Okay. The other thing you commonly see me do, and this is why having a second example is good here. Okay. In some of the video tutorials, you will see people actually take their seam ripper and just kind of pluck the thread. And what they're doing is the stitches within this area. So here is the seam the last seam that I sewed. The stitches within this area, this is where they're going to pluck those stitches out. And you can do it all the way up to the seam, this last seam that you just sewed. Okay, so you do that one there. You can do this one here, in which I'm just going to take this, pluck it out. And It would be easier if I used a bigger stitch length, but because I stitch on a 1.5, the stitches are pretty tight together, so it's not so easy for me to pluck it out, which is why a lot of times I will just take the seam and try and pop it open like that. But if you do pluck it out, you'll have an easier time getting it to open. Okay, and when you do it correctly, you kind of got that mini 4-patch in the middle. So hope that helps. And then once you get the hang of it, it gets a lot easier to do. But for me, the key point was learning about having all the seams spin in the same direction. Whoops, sorry. The camera's out of focus there. So you see how it all goes in a clockwise, all the seam allowances are just being pressed in a clockwise direction there. So hope that helps, or hope that made sense. Okay, now on this 9-patch block, I just actually pressed the seams open when I started joining the rows, so spinning the seams won't really do you much. Well, you can't technically because your seams are pressed open, so why even bother? Okay, so I will lay it out like that, but I do need another set of larger pieces. So there. I'll grab this ruler. And this will go up here. The two there and there. Okay, all right, we'll sew these two together. Wow, it's been an hour and a half already. So that piece off, then this can come on here. And I'll cut the thread there. We'll press it to the background, which is kind of contradictory to what most people will do. Cut the thread, cut that thread. And I will press this seam out. We'll press this. This was the bottom. I'll press this toward the center there. And we'll get this last piece. And cut that and cut that. And we'll press that toward the center. So even if you wanted to press your seams or spin the seams on these larger pieces when you start sewing your row together, I avoid doing that by just pressing the seam open. But if you don't want to, you can do it, in which I will show that to you here in just a second. And I did not line that up good because it turned out to be there. That seems to be better. Haha, seam, pun intended. Let's sew off on this scrap. Let's see if this will work. It should be, I should be able to do this. Okay, so I got this seam from the 9 patch going upward. I'll press this seam. This is the seam that I just kind of created when I sewed the 2 rows together. I already got a seam here going down, so I'll press these 2 seams in opposite directions here, in which then I can, it doesn't necessarily want to pop open, so I will then take jack here and kind of pluck out the seams. And I can get it to spin right like that. There, got it. So there. So you can spin, when you do sew rows together, you can spin the seams. The tricky part to doing this though is now by pressing this seam over to my left here, I'm adding extra bulk right here in the middle. And then sometimes when you get to the next block, it might not want to cooperate with you, because in this case, I got the seam spinning clockwise. This one might be going counterclockwise. So it's a little bit more tricky when you do it that way, which is why I don't typically do that. And I'll just press my seam open when I start joining the rows together. But it is possible to spin your seams when you start sewing your rows together at these intersections, but I just find it easier to just press the seam open just to make it lie flat. So it's like that and like that. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay. I'll sew this block and then I'll catch up with the comments and then we will call it a live. Clip that. I'm always scared I'm going to poke myself with this kind of rolling around. And we will press these ones open. And where is Roly Poly? Roly poly, roly poly, roly poly, roly poly. It's always a trick when you get to these intersections to get those seams to open up. Yeah. But I will say, when you spin your seam open, or if you press your seams open, the block will lie a lot more flat. I used to just press everything to one side, and in a seam like this where you got multiple layers of fabrics kind of coming together, yeah, that one spot will just like be raised up when I start quilting it, and that was not a good thing. Where is my iron? There it is. Losing track of stuff. Okay. While that cools down, let's catch up with some chat comments here. So, hello. Let's see. I've actually considered purple. My dad was in the early stages of Alzheimer's. Mom had dementia that goes with COPD. The two are closely related. I do have a friend whose mother, I think she's 80 years old. She actually dyed her hair purple just for the sake of just doing it. And she actually looked really good with it too. It is the long one that goes from the fore patch. Okay, not sure what she meant by that. Okay. Same, Donna, split or spin the seam. Still a conundrum for me. Okay, well, I hope that tip kind of helps, because I had a hard time spinning the seams too, but once I finally understood that all the seams need to be pressed in one direction, then it kind of made sense for me. So Kimber says, I have a TV, but just have a Fire Stick with YouTube built in. I watch a lot of YouTube on it, plus my DVD collection. I used to have a Fire Stick too. Didn't work very well, in which I started just using the Google version of that. And then when smart TVs became a thing, I just used the apps that are built in within the TV itself. So let's see. Jeannie Wallen says, I have strings of fabric left over from my granddaughter's baby coat, and she is now 19. Well, Jeannie, let's get those strings used up. Hi, Claudia. Kimber says, I actually have you on both my 5V phone. 5V and my phone. TV so I can see better, phone so I can chat. Okay. So you're doing what a lot of us are doing. We have the TV going and the phone. So yeah. And Jim Bennett says he does the same thing, except he uses Roku. YouTube is always on. Even our local weather is on YouTube. Okay. Speaking of which, I need to catch up with Mr. Ryan Hall. Haven't seen updates from him lately. I love my snap frame. I still have scraps from oldest daughter's baby dresses, and she's now 41. Wow. Hello, Miss Carissa. Fingers not behaving well today. Well, that's me every day, Kim. You should see the amount of, well, sometimes when I'm doing my 10 key, I always get the 3, then 6, and the 9 mixed up. So, yeah. Kind of a scary thing, especially when you're doing taxes. I might punch in the wrong amount. I'm thinking of a cutie frame. That's Joy T. You know, a lot of people say bad things about the cutie frame, but I personally, I believe, you know, if you don't have room for a full-sized quilting frame, I mean, they're great options. Yes, they're a little bit more cumbersome in that you do have to maneuver the quilt a lot more, but I mean, if you need to get quilts done and you don't have the space for a full-size long arm or a quilting frame, they're great options. That's just my personal opinion. Hello, Miss Mary. I don't make big quilts, just row sizes and under. So yeah, Joy T, I mean, the cutie frame, again, personally, working with frames that were similar to that, they're great options if you don't have the space and if you don't have the budget or the funds to buy like a full long arm, because those are serious investments. But hey, why not get a cutie frame? I know a lot of people complain about it because it's too small. They can't do the quilting designs that they want to do. Um, the quilt won't fit under the throat space. But, you know, again, uh, there's pros and cons to it like anything else. So best thing for I would suggest if you're thinking about purchasing a cutie frame is if there's a quilt show and Grace Company is one of the vendors at that quilt show, they might have a cutie frame set up for you so that you can kind of take it for a test drive. I've seen them set up the cutie frames at like Road to California when it first came out. Um, or even your quilt shop might have one set up if they're a Grace dealer. So look before you make a final, or if you're interested in getting a cutie frame or any long arming frame, I would give it a test drive before you make the commitment to purchase it. Sorry, I'm just reading comments. People are just kind of talking to each other. Oh, there's storm systems passing. Ooh. Sounds like there's storm systems passing through the Midwest there. So prayer warriors, let's get our prayers up and let's pray that people stay safe, that there's minimal damage for everyone in the Midwest. Love the white on white fabric. Actually, this is batting. The white on white fabric. Unless, yeah, this is actually just batting here. Carissa says, we had tornadoes come through and mow down a lot of houses here. Wow. Okay, so we'll be praying for you that you guys are safe. I guess it is that tornado season. Ooh, this one came out nice. I like that. Okay. I'll show it to you in a minute. Oh, you're welcome, Joy T and Kathleen. I think they're talking or they're saying thanks about how to spin the seam. Yes, thanks, Eric. I will keep trying. Okay. Okay, keep trying. Um, Maybe I'll do a short on spinning seams. Hopefully my brain will remember. Okay, Kim. Yeah, maybe I will. I don't know. I was kind of thinking about doing like a quick tutorial on it because there's a lot of people that ask for that. Um, Besides Joy, or besides all of you on here, there's been 4 or 5 others that have asked, how do you spin the seams or how do you set it up? So maybe I will do a short, or if I can edit this live and um, maybe do a short clip on it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Uh, Kathleen Champ says, Eric, I think you should make a short or a short video explaining that technique. So many say do it like this and never actually show what to do. Okay, so that that settles it. Thank you, Kathleen. I'll try and see if I can download this live and then put together some kind of a short video, because I know I have seen a few tutorials where people try and explain it, but how what they're saying and what you're visually seeing on the video doesn't exactly line up, and they probably just don't have the technology of zooming in really close. So yeah, we'll do that. Mary says, I just made a quilt top of 3 patches and forgot to spin some of the seams. I know my long armor doesn't hate me. Okay. Yeah, long armors, I mean, I can speak from experience. If you're a type of person where you're just pressing the seams over, and then when you got big intersections like here, and you just pressed it to one side, yeah, I'll bet you your long armor is cursing your name behind your back, because it's not fun to try and work a quilting design around those particular spots. Some long armors that I know of, they will take the time and actually spin the seam if they can do it. I mean, it's yeah, it's that important for some long armors. Okay, so Kim kind of figured out the math, but even though my intention was not to give the math away. I feel the same, Donna. Like, man, I've asked time and time again. Might have been me that asked Eric, actually. Just happy to see it and actually know. Okay. Whoops, sorry, the chat just jumped on me. Donna says, Kim, can I borrow your brain cell? Just the memory part. All right. Joy T is asking, can you put a video short doing that seam? Yes, I will do that. Your tutorial was fabulous. Well, thank you. Hello, Miss Joyce. Glad you made it here. And Kim responds, Donna, as long as the Demented Squirrel is out, back hasn't stolen it, it might be able to share. Hello, Miss Suzanne Taylor. Let's see. Carissa says, I got my 8-foot tabletop frame set up Tuesday, Eric. Still haven't put my Juki on it, though. Oh. Yeah, I think when I first got my Grace frame, that is how I actually got my, well, the total package came out to be, price wise, it came out to be about $1,200, in which the majority of that was because I actually purchased a Juki 2010 TLQ. I think that's the model number, at the same time as I purchased the frame. So the Juki machine itself was almost $1,000 because it was right when it first came out, and the frame was about $200. So altogether, it was a good investment for me. It was a little cumbersome, I will say, to take the Juki on and off the frame, and the frame could easily kind of collapse. So um, it was a good thing. Well, eventually, I did have like another machine where I could just piece quilts on, and then I just kept the Juki on there. But after a while, I kind of felt I had a need to get a little bit of a larger size frame, and so that's when I started looking into long arms. And I had the space to actually dedicate to the long arm. If I didn't have that, then I probably would still be using the Juki and that tabletop frame. So yeah, I mean, I loved it because I could quilt, do a lot of more free motion quilting, a lot faster than me trying to do it on my regular sit down domestic machine. So, but I know a lot of people say bad things about it. I'm just trying to say that there is a different perspective, and they're forgetting about that different perspective, in my opinion. So if you don't have the space for it, you know, it's a good option. But if you can afford to get like a long arm, or if you're trying to run a quilting business, you definitely probably want to go with the largest size long arm that you can get. But if you're only doing it for yourself and you're not doing these huge bed quilts, hey, it's a great option. But as I said before, give it a test drive because there's pros and cons to it. So Joy T says, I'm still researching before I buy one. Well, that's a good thing, Joy. So hope that you get to test drive it before you make the final decision. Mary says the big thing is the seams going around in a circle. Yep. Yep. That was the, that's when the light bulb kind of went off for me. Hello, Miss Joanna. Sewing Machines Plus on Thursday had an amazing deal on the gray 16-inch machine frame and overhead lights. I'm fighting the urge. That was, who was that? Sorry, I just read that and the comments just jumped on me. Okay, so that was Joyce. And Joyce says, my seam spinning is awful. Oh. Okay, so I do have to do that short, is what you guys are saying to me. Susan Year Out says, handy quilters don't like those bulky seams as well. Have bent so many needles because of that. Yeah. In fact, that's the real reason why I started spinning the seams and or pressing seams open when it comes to intersections where there's a lot of fabrics coming together. I actually damaged one of my sewing machines. Not the Juki, but I kind of put an old Singer on a frame once, and because the Juki was not cooperating with me that day, so I just put my old Singer machine, and it actually broke the machine when it tried to quilt right through this one intersection that had about 8 different layers of fabric coming together. So yeah, that's when I realized, you know what, I can't be pressing the seams over to one side all the time, especially when certain spots are just, you know, there's multiple layers in there. So yeah, That's when I took the time to learn how to spin the seam. That's okay, Kim. That's all right. She says, I'm sorry I gave it away. That's all right. Hopefully, by the time I actually get that whole video series, enough time will have passed before people realized, oh, wait a second. He was doing this on a live. I'm glad to see some people have brain cells. I'm not sure I do. Oh, come on, Joanna. Joanna says, I just bought the Juki for 1,000-ish. Okay. Wow, it's still going that high. And Kim says, Joanna, I only have the one left, and some days I'm positive that Squirrel has controlling interest. Where did you buy your Juki from? That's Joy T. I actually purchased mine. It was a package deal with the Juki and the Grace frame. Was about with the shipping. It was $1,200. I actually did purchase it from Sewing Machines Plus, and it, I gotta say, in working with Sewing Machines Plus, they made the transaction very, very easy. And what was great about the deal was the shipping was a lot less than what other people would have charged me. Of course, I was living in California at the time, so I could have easily just drove down to San Diego or wherever there is. It San Diego? Yeah, I believe it was San Diego. But I could have just taken the 2-hour drive to pick up everything. But they offered a good deal on the shipping costs. And even with this Juki that I sew on now, this industrial, this is the Juki DDL 5550. This whole package with the shipping, the table, and everything, I did have to kind of assemble, do a little bit of assembly, but with everything, the machine, the table, and the shipping costs, it was less. It was actually less than $1,000. So, Sewing Machines Plus, when you get them on a good sale, they will give you a great deal for it. And their customer service, I find, is very exceptional. Um, you know, these days customer service is not really existent in a lot of companies anymore, but they still believe in having customer care there to a certain extent. So, yeah, I would, if I needed to buy another machine, they're one of the first vendors that I will look at because I've had great experiences with them. And I know other quilters and other influence or other YouTubers also say the same thing. So, I'm just laughing at Joanna's comment back to Kim. I hear you. I'm on call and my brain left. Joyce says she loves her Juki TL18. And then Susan Yearout says she found her machine at Sewing Parts Online. Okay. Almost a year ago on sale. Carissa says, I have room for a 12-foot long arm, just don't have the money for it. Yeah, those long arms, I mean, they can run you, on the low end, maybe about 5,000, 5, 6, 7,000. On the high end, you're talking 50, 60,000. So yeah, depending upon how you're going to use it or what you're using it for, if you're running a long arming business, you probably want to get some of the more quality machines with the computerized quilting. I don't have computerized quilting. I just like to free motion quilt on, or just like to do it myself. So I figured there's no reason for me to buy the computerized quilting aspect of it, but that's what drives up the price way high. I'm not sure I even have space for a small frame, even though I want one. That's Joanna. Yeah, so space is the biggest one of the bigger concerns. Of course, price is the other one. Is Sewing Machines Plus and Sewing Parts Online the same place? I don't believe so, Joy T. No. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, somebody please say that correct me, but I don't believe they are. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of skip ahead. I had time to waste before the retirement party, and the staff was giving me last June. So on a whim, I checked prices, and sewing parts online had it on sale for under 500, and I bought it. Wow, Susan, that was a great deal. So you got lucky with that one. Okay, I'm still over the moon over the price I bought it for. Yep, that is a very good price. I've never heard it go down that low, even on sale. Wow. I'm going to retreat to learn free motion quilting in June. That's Joanna. I just missed out on buying on Facebook Marketplace from a quilter in my area. Someone beat me to it for $500. Oh. Okay, guys. So that is, I'm going to call it a live and kind of wrap things up here today. Again, just a reminder that tomorrow night, that'll be April 20th, I will be doing another live session, but I'll be kind of showcasing all the items that are going to be part of the giveaway. If you're not able to join tomorrow night's live, don't worry. There is going to be a way for you to still be part of the giveaway, and I will give you the details on the live. Just a heads up that, well, here's kind of the gist of how this is going to run. You're going to be, as you watch the live, I'll be showing the various items. I kind of bundled it into separate packages, so you're not just going to get one skein of yarn. You're going to probably get 3 or 4 in these bundles, and I'll give these things item numbers, in which you're going to jot down the item number. You'll send me an email of all the item numbers that you want to try and win. And in that email, you'll also be sending me the mailing address to where you want me to send if you are the chosen winner. And I might give it till like Thursday or Friday for people to actually watch the live and try and enter and send me the email. But the following week, or not next Sunday, but the following Sunday, not tomorrow, but the following Sunday, whatever that day is, that's when, by then, we'll have all the winners picked out, and we'll start kind of mentioning on the live who won and whatnot. Now, for those of you that are international, I'm sorry, because of the cost of shipping internationally is really expensive. A lot of the items you may or may not be able to participate in. I'll definitely open or have certain packages or certain bundles. Like, for example, there's a lot of patterns, sewing patterns, and lightweight stuff that can go internationally. So I will set those aside exclusive for people that are not here in the US. So you'll have a chance to enter for those. Or if you do have a friend here that lives here in the United States, and maybe they are a crocheter or knitter, and you see, again, there's a lot of yarn. You want to give them, or you want me to send it directly to your friend here in the US, you can do that as well. So, yeah, and again, I'll be explaining all the details of this giveaway tomorrow night on the live session. So if you don't, again, if you don't catch the live, maybe because I know it's Easter Sunday and you are busy with family, you can catch the replay up until a certain point and still enter the giveaway. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Happy Easter to everybody. If you're, and people are saying their email, their, Carissa, the numbers, she's asking me, did you get the email of the items that she wanted? I couldn't see the number. The numbers will come out on tomorrow night's live. So I'm still kind of going, believe it or not, there's so much stuff that I'm still kind of going through it, and I'm just kind of bundling it all together. I will be assigning the numbers to tonight, and by tomorrow night, when we do the live, I'll have the numbers. As I'm showcasing the different items, I will have the numbers so that you can jot it down. But some people have tried to say, "Oh, I want that pink yarn." I'm kind of not paying attention to that right now because it's kind of unfair. So, yeah. All right, guys, I shall see some of you tomorrow night if you're going to join the live. If not, have a great Easter. Have a great rest of your week. And you all know what I'm going to say, so let's all say it together. Let's all get out there. Let's all create something. So, bye for now.